Why do so many women struggle to say no? Where does that come from?
When you are speaking up for yourself, you're not saying that this person's voice doesn't matter, this person's needs don't matter. You're saying mine matter too.
I thought you were about to say, you're saying mine matter more. I'm like, yeah! Not mine matter more, mine matter too.
Like if I'm being assertive, that means I'm being mean, and assertive just means you're being clear. A lot of times as women, we kind of conflate the two, that they're the same thing. When it comes to people pleasing, it's not about being nice. And that's what we often think, oh, I'm just being nice. It's really your nervous system saying, if I make myself small, maybe I'll be safer.
Ooh. Let's try this again. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Try This Again. I am still in sunny LA, baby. I had to run outside to put more money on that meter, and my wig almost slid off. It is hot in LA. My lip is sweating. I'm a little sweaty, but we are here, and I am so excited to introduce you to my guest. Oh my gosh, y'all know I bulk shoot. I talk about that all the time, and she just walked in. She knew my last guest. She was like, hey, it's such a small world, and this is my first time meeting her outside of virtually. We've had a phone conversation. We've had social media conversations. I just fell in love with her content, her voice, her boldness, her confidence, and what she talks about on her platform. Brittney Moses she has a psychology degree. She's a mental health content creator, and she is a women's coach. Welcome her to Let's Try This Again. Gen Z claps.
Gen Z claps. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I was just telling you, like, when we talked, it was like I knew you for such a long time, and I just value people that I just click with, like intuitively. So
I literally said that. I was like, I just am so I'm not gonna say picky. I'm intentional with who I have on the pod. Obviously, I could have so many people, but sometimes it just doesn't align. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean I don't want them on my platform. It's just like, not in this season. It's not aligned. This is the messaging we're doing. I'm just so intentional now about just getting amazing, powerful women with powerful voices that can add value to the women that are watching and the men that are watching. We're going to have LTTA men soon, but I know 90% of this audience is women. And today we are talking about mental health, people pleasing, and you guys, what it looks like to live life beyond society's check boxes. Let's start off with boundaries. Okay. Amen. Why do so many women struggle to say no? Where does that come from? Like,
my mind's going in so many places right now. So as you said, like, I've been in kind of the mental health content creation work for a while now, and coaching women as well. My background is, my master's is in clinical psychology. My background is psychology at UCLA. So that's something I've been passionate about for a while. But I have to say the past couple years, I've really been honing in on women. Okay. Not only because I'm a woman, but I think seeing even the women in my life generationally, mom, grandma, and the ways that they've had to kind of abandon themselves in order to make life work for those around them, and kind of getting the short end of the stick, being the ones that carry everything, and there's something called the superwoman schema, especially with Black women.
What is that?
Which is basically the narrative that it's your job to kind of carry everything and carry everyone, and not only that, but continue to be strong while you're doing it.
Okay.
Kind of do it flawlessly.
Okay.
Right? So there are a lot of narratives that uniquely affect women that I'm really passionate about. So we can kind of go through a few of them, and this will kind of come back to the people pleasing.
Please, take me there.
So, one, narratives can come from culture, just what the culture is telling you, whether directly or indirectly, unspoken messages about who you should be, how you should show up, what it means to be a good girl, a good wife, a good you name it. Then there's media. There's just messages that we get from media about what it means to be a woman. There's messages that are passed down through family, and again, that could also be directly, like being told what type of woman you should be, or what it means, or what you see. I was going to say indirectly, right? Indirectly, which is maybe you just kind of inherited by example.
Okay.
Maybe from your mom.
Give me
from
an
your
example of
grandmother.
that.
So maybe like your mother was someone who, you know, she did everything. She sacrificed herself for everyone. You know, she put everyone first and put herself last. And she maybe silently struggled or suffered. Maybe you saw that example and now you believe, now, you know, you're growing up, you're a mom, you don't even realize you've inherited these narratives
and
about what it means to be a woman, and you basically continue the cycle.
Love that.
Right? So that's one way, for example, that it can be passed on through family. And then there's trauma, right? When I think about people pleasing, the root of people pleasing and how it's tied to trauma, I think about something called the fawn response. And the fawn response is something that was coined by trauma therapist Pete Walker. So he added that to kind of the classic fight, flight, freeze trauma response that we know about. The fawn response is basically a way that people cope with stress and with conflict by making yourself smaller to keep yourself safe.
Why is making yourself smaller safer?
Right, because maybe you're seen as less of a threat, for one. Also, maybe you'll be less of a target.
Almost like dimming your light.
Yeah, it's shrinking.
Okay.
And for many people, you might have been in situations where maybe growing up at home or maybe on the job or maybe, you know, in community, it was just safer for you to stay small.
If you spoke up, it was an issue, or you were told to be quiet, or you got in trouble, or you talked too much, or
Right. So it might have been safer for you to stay small, you know, to kind of chameleon yourself, to be palatable, to be acceptable to everyone, so that you don't risk either harm or rejection, or just being perceived as difficult, you name it.
Is that rooted in validation and wanting to be liked, or not necessarily always?
It can be.
Okay.
But sometimes it's just what your body has learned is safe. Right? So when it comes to people pleasing, it's not about being nice. And that's what we often think. Oh, I'm just being nice. The difference with people pleasing is that it's really your nervous system saying, if I make myself small, maybe I'll be safer.
Ooh.
And it's something that your body has learned. But the problem is that safety shouldn't require self-erasure. It shouldn't require self-abandonment. But it might be what we've learned to stay safe. And I should add on to this, it's not just about, I don't want to be harmed maybe physically, right? In some cases it is of abuse, right? I tried to stay small because this person that I grew up with was a ticking time bomb, and I didn't want to be a target, so I withdrew and I hid myself away, you know, because that's how I stayed safe. I stayed quiet in the house. I stayed quiet in the car. I didn't want to do anything that would set this person off, you know? And so that's how I know how to stay safe. That's kind of on the more maybe in your face kind of response.
More physical, but what about,
But then there's also people pleasing out of fear of rejection and abandonment, right? And that's the emotional thing. And what I like to remind people is that when it comes to the brain, the same part of the brain that is activated when you have physical pain is the same exact part of the brain that is activated when you have emotional pain.
Wow. Okay.
It's called the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. So
your brain doesn't know the difference.
To your brain, pain is pain. Whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, pain is pain. And that's why I think we do have these phrases like, it felt like a gut punch, or it feels like my heart is breaking. Because literally, emotional pain registers in the same part of the brain as physical pain. And all your body knows is the pain. So when it comes to people pleasing, right, it's painful to feel rejected. It's painful to have your heart broken. It's painful to be excluded. right? Especially when love and belonging are basic human needs.
Yeah.
And so to avoid that, maybe we've learned to kind of chameleon our way around people to just avoid that pain.
And avoid the being uncomfortable. Yeah. I think that's where my people pleasing came from. Just obviously, like you said, it could be trauma from childhood or a younger age, but walking on eggshells because I didn't like confrontation.
Right.
It made me uncomfortable. It scared me. So I'm like, if I just walk on eggshells and make this person happy, I don't have to have the tough conversations. I don't have to bring up. And now I'm so much better at it. Once you get through it and your
like,
heart,
I can't go back.
and your heart has been broken, or you've lost that person, or you've gone through that relationship breakup, or you've lost that partner, or you went through that divorce, or whatever it is, you're like, I have to speak up because it's going to end bad anyway. You think not speaking up and shrinking yourself is helping, but it's really coddling. It's really ignoring the issue. It's brushing stuff under the rug, and then it blows up anyway. So it's not helping the situation. How does people pleasing, show up, and lack of boundaries show up in our body? Like when you brought up the body a little bit.
Yeah. It's that stress that is stored in the body. I think that there are some physical signs that you can hold on to or that you can look at to show that maybe you aren't in alignment with what's authentic to you.
Okay.
Whether it is, you're kind of holding your breath, right?
Okay.
Like your breath maybe gets a little bit more shallow.
Okay.
It's kind of these little things, or maybe it's that feeling of that pit in your stomach, like this doesn't feel right, like that's your intuition, I think that as women, there are a lot of ways that we've been taught to disconnect from our bodies and not trust ourselves.
In like what ways?
And who does that benefit? Right? When we're taught that, our maybe just that we cannot trust ourselves, that when we see the body as something that is harmful.
Okay.
Or I'm just going to say it, that our body is a source of sin.
Okay.
As women, it's like now your body's kind of the enemy that you're fighting against instead of seeing it as a holistic part of you.
And a tool that gives you signals.
Exactly. And that is sending you messages all the time. I think there have been many times where we've noticed like something shift in our body, and we can feel it in our body before we can feel it in our mind.
Man.
Or before our mind catches up with what's actually happening. So now I really pay attention to like my stomach feels uneasy, or my breathing is more shallow, or my muscles are a little bit more tense.
Yep.
Because that tells me that I'm in like defense mode, And when you were talking about, wanting to please everyone to avoid conflict, I think the other side of that we have to remember is that we are abandoning ourselves when we do that. I think we think so much. Recovering people pleaser here too.
Really?
You're thinking so much about other people and how things are going to affect other people. You're not considering yourself. You're not taking yourself into the equation.
Hold on, you guys. I have to tell y'all about AG1. It's the #1 health drink, y'all. It's a daily health drink that truly supports gut health. Y'all know I had gut issues so much on this medication that I was on before. And y'all, my gut health is my top priority. AG1 has literally become a part of my everyday routine. Y'all know I'm obsessed with vitamins. If you follow me on Snapchat, you see all the vitamins I take every day. And AG1 has made it so much better because I can take less supplements. Plus, I have way more energy support and better digestive support. Y'all, I travel so much, so I got to make sure I get my nutrients when I'm traveling from flight to flight, from city to city. I want to be healthy, y'all. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to lose energy. And AG1 has antioxidants, probiotics, and functional mushrooms to support immune resilience. I definitely use AG1 daily, and you should too. AG1 helps me stay one scoop ahead, baby. You could just put it in some juice or some water and drink one scoop a day. Ooh, I love it. Head to drinkag1.com/b.simone to get a free welcome kit with the AG1 flavor sampler and a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2 when you first subscribe. That's drinkag1.com/b.simone. All right, y'all, back to the show.
How did you get out of people pleasing? recovering? Since you said you're recovering, are you recovered? Are you done?
I mean, are we ever done?
I know. Do we? Can we get to being done?
I think it's just constant self-reminders. Like, and, you know, especially when as women, we kind of get these double messages of, you know, look out for everybody, but then also look out for yourself. But if you look out for yourself, then you're being selfish.
Yeah.
You know, you're being self-centered. And so you have these conflicting messages that puts women in what we call a double bind, where no matter which one you choose, you lose. And that's why women have to, you know, kind of create a narrative for ourselves of what is important to us, what is priority, what our values are. But, you know, for me, it also just took time, and the time of, I don't know, I think also as you get older.
For sure.
I think you
For
do.
sure.
And you know yourself more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think about all the ways that I abandoned myself in the past, and it just didn't turn out well for me. And sometimes we have to kind of give ourselves forgiveness for the ways that we didn't listen to ourselves in the past, and kind of rebuild that self-trust.
And the way you put yourself on the back burner to, like you said, people please or lack of boundaries with somebody else. I think that's what I'm going through now, trusting myself. Because I'm
Big
like,
one.
Nobody did anything to you that you didn't allow. You chose these relationships. Exactly. You made these decisions. So can I trust myself to make a new friend? Can I trust myself to be with a new guy? Can I trust myself to be in a new environment? Because I've made mistakes in the past based off of my trauma, you know? So it's like, now I'm learning, okay, you have got to learn to trust yourself, and you can. Why? Because now you have more wisdom. Exactly. Now you know a little more. Exactly. Now you know, the veil is taken off. You can see a little more. So yes, you can trust yourself in this season because you learned.
That's exactly it. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience.
Yeah.
This time around.
Yeah.
And I always like to tell people to give grace for themselves for the choices that they made in the past, because you made decisions based off of what you knew and what you understood of yourself in the world up to that point. So how could you choose differently when that's how you saw the world at that time? That's what you knew at the time. That's all the information that you had and experience that you had at the time. And it makes sense. It all, like, whenever someone shares with me, like, maybe things that they consider bad choices or bad decisions, which oftentimes are choices that are made out of survival, you know, I'm always like, you know what? It makes a lot of sense. It makes sense that you made those choices given how your life led you there, the circumstances that were present, where your head was at, and what information you had up to that point.
What would you tell a woman or a man, anybody right now that is out there that is in this season of, I'm starting to say no, I'm starting to choose myself, I'm starting to set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and they feel guilty? Because guilt comes with the opposite end of people pleasing. You feel bad. Like you said, you feel like people pleasing means you're nice. So the opposite of that, I felt like I was a bad person when I said no, or I was a bad person when I set boundaries. So what would you say to somebody that's watching this? Like, okay, but I feel guilty. I feel like I should have said yes. I should have told them I could do this. I should have never said no. I should have just, you know, broke my back to make this happen. I should, whatever that is, I should have just been quiet and walked on eggshells. I should have never said what I was thinking because it made them upset. Guilt comes with that. Yes. So how do you maneuver through guilt when you're trying to stop people pleasing?
Yeah, that's so good. And guilt is a real feeling, whether or not you made the right choice, right? Because what you said that stood out to me that I want to highlight is, you know, the opposite of people pleasing is bad.
Right.
Right. So,
or I'm a bad person.
I'm a bad person. Like, that statement, that tells me there's a core belief that's tied to a narrative about who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to respond to people. That is a person's programming for whatever reason, whether it's from, you know, again, messages that are, you know, covert or overt about what it means to be a good person, especially what it means to be a good woman. It means you're not too much, you're not difficult, you have to be palatable, you have to be pleasant. These are kind of tied to, like, femininity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't mean you're not a kind person, right? I think that it means we have to have a more holistic perspective that allows for various parts of ourselves to exist at the same time. So one, I would revisit, where does a narrative come from that I am bad if I don't completely give myself up to everyone and everything, right? And then the other distinction I like to make is that, you know, when you are setting boundaries, when you are speaking up for yourself, you're not saying that, you know, another person's voice doesn't matter, right? Because I think that's the difference between being assertive and being aggressive.
Okay.
Right? There's a difference between being assertive and being mean.
Okay.
A lot of times as women, we kind of conflate the two, that they're the same thing. Like if I'm being assertive, that means I'm being mean. And assertive just means you're being clear.
Direct.
You're being clear. You're providing clarity for yourself and for the people around you so you can navigate the relationship in a healthy way.
Okay.
Right? So assertive does not mean mean. So that's like kind of one of the narratives that we have to separate. And you're not saying that this person's voice doesn't matter, this person's needs don't matter. You're saying mine matter too. So you're including...
I thought you were about to say, you're saying mine matter more. I'm like, yeah!
Sometimes in the moment, they do have to matter a little bit more. Yeah, you know.
No,
sometimes.
guys, don't. I know some of y'all were thinking that too. Not mine matter more. Mine matter too. Yeah.
So it's including yourself in the equation.
Okay.
It's including
instead of neglecting yourself.
Exactly. It's including your worth in the equation. It's not saying their voice doesn't matter. It's saying my voice also matters. It's not saying their time doesn't matter. It's saying my time also matters, right? So you're putting yourself in the equation. And so there's kind of like a holistic dynamic going on there. So that's kind of the difference, I think, with people pleasing. It's everyone else matters. What everyone else thinks matters. Everyone else's opinions matter. Everyone else's perspective matters. Mine don't, or I need to sacrifice mine because theirs matters and mine don't as much. And where does that come from? So it's more so, again, you're including yourself into the equation.
Just add yourself to the equation.
Right.
Guys, add yourself to the equation. Add yourself. Add yourself. Add yourself.
Yeah.
As much as we think about other people, add yourself to the equation and start to think about your own feelings. And like she said, my voice matters too.
It's just the two.
Just the two. Before we get to, because we're going to tie this in with living beyond the check boxes, like society standards, because I feel like people pleasing goes into that. Yeah. You know, you might not be understanding that you're doing it, but to society standards, I'm trying to please or have this visual of what I should look like to the outside world because I'm trying to be, you know, validated or liked or want people to think I'm successful or whatever the reasoning. Right. I should have this many kids. I should live in this neighborhood. I should drive this car. I should have this job. I should go to college, even though I don't want to go to college. I want to be an artist and I don't need to go to college because like all of these
gives me anxiety. Like, right, that's so stressful already just thinking about it.
All of these things. Yeah. Before we get into that and how people pleasing ties into living beyond these check boxes that society has, you know, put us in. I want you to give me a little backstory on you. Like, cause you were living outside of them, all of these boxes that we're supposed to check off and, you know, take me through your journey and your story. And how that came about to today.
Yeah. LTTA family, are you a part of the exclusive LTTA app community? If not, you're missing out on exclusive content just like this. The app is still invite only, so join the movement now for exclusive content, BTS, and private events, y'all. Make sure you go to ltta.app and register now to unlock your invite. Yes, the app is invite only, and you don't want to miss any more content, so go now. That's ltta.app. Go unlock your invite now.
I'm so glad that we're talking about this because as we were talking, I was like, this could not be more my story.
Yeah.
Which is that I always felt like I was living outside of someone else's checkbox or, you know, there's always other people trying to define your identity for you of who you should be. So kind of just real quick, the timeline of my upbringing is that, for one, I grew up going to kind of this predominantly white, very elitist school, all through elementary to middle school. And I personally just felt very other, not just because I was Black, but because of class as well, right? I kind of had that racial and class intersection going on, but I felt kind of othered in some ways, right? And then I started going to kind of public school. I'm from inner city LA.
Okay.
I'm from Inglewood.
Inglewood, always up to no good.
So, and then I go to a public school with, more of my community and like Black and brown kids. And then I sound white. And there are ways that I'm not, checking off cultural Black boxes.
You weren't Black enough for them.
I wasn't Black
and
enough.
You were too Black for the white kids.
Exactly. And, it's so interesting because in my mind, I couldn't be Blacker. Looking at my whole family, looking at my, where I was raised and everything. But it was those experiences that taught me, like, oh, there are certain boxes that people check off for you to be perceived a certain way, like being called an Oreo and this and that. And it wasn't until I got, a little bit older through high school that I kind of had like a mixed group of friends, and I kind of was able to integrate all of my identity together and just say, this is me.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, when I was around 17, 18 years old, that's when I had my son. My son, Austin, he's 15 now.
Oh my gosh. You have a 15-year-old.
I have a 10th grader.
He is in high school.
That's great. I'm like, how are you a teenager? And I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
How are you in high school? I just got out of high school.
Yeah. So you had him your senior year.
Get this, I actually found out right after I graduated. I was like,
made it through high school.
Made it through. So yeah, right after. And
how was that? Did you grow up in a Christian household?
Yes.
Were you like, okay.
Yes. Very. So that was interesting, right? Kind of this out of wedlock marriage. I was the first one in my family to have, kid out of wedlock in my immediate family. Obviously, like in some ways morally that didn't fit in with certain values. But most of all, I had a hard time adapting because here I am 18 years old with a child, and now I'm shifting into kind of raising a family, and a lot of my friends weren't at that place in their life. They're going to college, they're partying, they're traveling. Like that's their peak time of really exploring life in themselves.
Yeah. And
I'm a young teenage mom, like trying to figure life out. I need to work. I need to provide for my child. And I went ahead and I actually married my son's father. But more so, looking back now, out of these inner shoulds, like
it's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do, and also like my parents were divorced, and that was a lot. I don't want my son to go through divorced parents. I'm also thinking out of an 18-year-old brain. Again, given the information experience I have to that point, so there's grace. But eventually that fell apart. And now I'm a young single mom in my early 20s. And I decided to go back to school. And that's when I pursued psychology and went to UCLA, which was a great experience. But again, a lot of the kids that were at school were much younger. I'm this non-traditional student. I'm a little bit older, going back.
Yeah.
In some ways I could say like I felt behind because a lot of my peers had already finished school or whatever it was. And so my life always just kind of looked different. And it was funny too, because then there came a time when all my friends were having babies. And now my son's much older. So that it's like my life doesn't look like, a mom with little ones anymore. Yeah. And I was actually able to like live my life a little bit more and kind of go out and, be a little bit more social because my son's older now.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's funny how it just wasn't linear.
Yeah.
And then I remarried. To the love of my life, my perfect match.
How long have you been remarried?
It's been 3 years now. We've been together 8.
Oh, I love that.
And that was like, that felt like a little bit of a redemption arc for me because it really took my life in a new direction. And, finishing school took my life in a new direction and felt like just a restart. But yeah, there was just a lot of like twists and turns and not feeling like at various stages, I was where I thought I should be on the social clock.
How do we get out of the pressure women feel when it comes to marriage and kids? Ooh. And you know what I mean? Like you said, it could come from society. It could come from childhood. Like, how do we get out of that weight? I think it's a weight. Like, I've always kind of beat to, what is the saying? Beat to the sound of your own drum. Well, y'all know what I'm trying to say. I do my own thing. I've never been like, I have to do this and this and this. I always thought, like, I mean, as a younger, now that I look back, I'm like, okay, I thought I was going to be married in my 20s and have kids. And like, you do these check boxes. But now that I'm 35, I'm like, actually, I'm not in a rush to, I always talk about love, and it's been a joke, but it's really real. Like, I want to find my person, but I'm not like, in a rush to do it. You know, as much as I want companionship and love, I'm like, when it happens, it'll be the right time. And if I get married at 40 and it's my person, I'd rather wait until 40 than do it with the wrong person previously. So how do we rewire our brains with the pressure of society around marriage and kids? You did it so non-traditional and, you know.
Yeah, not on purpose.
You're not on purpose.
Right.
But, you know, I'm like, how do we get out of that pressure mindset? I have to be married by this age. I have to have these kids. I have to do it this way. I don't want to leave because of the kids. I'm going to stay here. Once again, I'm going to set myself aside. I'm going to stay in this abusive relationship because this is the right way to do it. Like, how do we get out of that?
Oh, loaded question. Such a good question. Yeah. I want to start with what you said about, like, hey, if I meet my person at 40, I meet them at 40. And then I'll go back to it. That stands out to me as someone who actually remarried like around 30.
Yeah.
And who was married in my early 20s and it didn't work out. And I just always think about, and maybe you realize this as well. You're like, imagine if you did marry someone that is aligned with who you were 10 years ago.
Sick.
Right.
I would have been
versus
like,
who you are now.
What? And hopefully they would have grown. But
hopefully
even
they grow together, but there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
So there kind of is a benefit in some ways if we want to reframe it.
To waiting.
There kind of is a benefit to like meeting someone in the version that you are now that you kind of know yourself better and you've experienced more. You can meet someone who aligns with you more rather than out of the pressure of thinking that you just need to be with someone or hopefully just finding someone that's good enough.
Yeah, because of time or age or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
So I always think about that. Like, oh my gosh, like thankfully, maybe if I do meet someone, I'll meet someone who's aligned with who I am now.
Today.
And that's nice.
Because I go back, I've been looking at my exes, a few of my exes, I'm like, y'all niggas still the same. Thank God. Yeah, you didn't propose. I would have said yes back then. And now I'm like, you still in the club? You still getting high all day, every day? You still? We was doing that when we was 21, 22, 23. Right. I mean, I was doing a little bit when I was 29, 30, 31. You know, I ain't gonna go too far. Like, I just been out of all that stuff forever. But I'm like, there's still a lot of stuff you're still doing. Thank God. It's like you dodged a bullet. You know, but there are, you know, those relationships out there to anybody that's listening. Of course, you met the love of your life, your husband, your person at 18, 19, and y'all got to grow together. And thankfully, both of you guys grew, hopefully. But, you know, it just, everything is different. Everybody's path is different. But I think there is a beautiful art to, like you said, waiting. Whether it's intentional or not. I'm not intentionally waiting, but at this point I'm taking my time. But this is just how the cards were dealt, and there is a gift to that too.
100%. Like me and my husband always kind of joke. We're like, if you would have met me maybe 3 years earlier, 5 years earlier, it would have been a completely different relationship. 100%. He would have been a completely different person. I would have been a completely different person.
Yeah.
Our relationship would have looked different. I don't even know if it would have worked out based on who we were at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I'm so thankful that our paths crossed when they did. When I got to this place mentally, emotionally, when he got to his place where, you know, the frontal lobes are working and, you know, everything is aligning. And he also matured in a lot of ways by going through some relationships that didn't work out, that he learned about, that he learned from and was able to apply to our relationship that made him, I mean, great for our relationship. You know, like I'm like, sorry to the previous. I've also been the previous girlfriend. Like, I helped him grow.
For sure.
You know, but anyway, for that. But getting back to what you were saying about the narratives and the shoulds, whenever I hear should, it just always takes me back to, like, who says?
Who said it?
Who said it? Like, where did that come from? And maybe this is something you journal. Maybe I'm an external processor.
Yeah.
So therapy's great.
Yeah.
But really just going through, like, where did that construct, that social construct, come from? You know, is it just something that's come from society historically? Is it something that came from my family? Is it something that came from media? And I think that...
And do I believe it?
Do I believe it? Does that align with me? And it's so interesting because when you're going through your teenage years into young adult years, we know that, like, psychologically, developmentally, that is a stage of identity formation, right? You're getting to know yourself. A lot of times what happens is the way that you kind of learn what you should and shouldn't be doing is by external approval. Like, oh, people like when I do this. Oh, people applaud when I do this. People give me positive regard when I do this. I should keep doing that thing, like whatever it is. And then you're getting older and you're building your life around this. And now I'm kind of talking personally. I look at all the ways that I was building my life unintentionally around the positive feedback I was getting by certain things. And then we mistake that as our identity. So everything that we've built.
How do we create meaning outside of expectations? Because like that, I think that's what you're explaining.
Exactly.
Like the expectation of me to, I'll just use myself as a comedian, known as a comedian. I'm expected to be funny. Right. When I walk in the room, it's like, I think she's gonna, and of course, granted, it's my personality, but I can't lie and say there isn't times where I felt like, okay, I have to walk in this room. I have to be funny. Like I'm the funny girl. I'm not the sexy girl. I'm not the fly girl. I'm not the fashion girl. I'm the funny girl. So if I'm not funny,
right.
What am I? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
you're supposed to be funny. Tell a joke.
Man, it's like, or you're not making me laugh. What's wrong? It's like, you know, are you okay?
That's exhausting.
I'm like, I'm actually really happy. I'm just chilling right now. I'm on my period and I'm hungry and I'm really actually happy. I just don't have a joke or expect it to be on all the time, you know? So creating expectations, who are we outside of these expectations we've tried to uphold for people? And I think that's exactly what you what you just explained. I've been in that situation. Even like now, like I'm kind of pulling away from stand-up. Not because I've been doing it for 8 years. When I say I love being on that stage, I love it so much. It's just like my drug of choice. Like when I'm on that stage, and I think it comes with the validation, like I'm funny. Like they're laughing at me. Like I'm killing this shit.
That makes so much
You know
sense.
what I mean?
Easily.
Like I just love stand-up. I love performing. But in this season, it's like, okay, my set, either you're going to take time and let God work on you and make a set that's conducive to who you are today, because you keep using these old jokes that you know they work. They're safe. You haven't built something new, and it's not who I am anymore. Right. So it's like, I want to take a step back. I want to get more into being a business behind the camera on LTTA, pushing other women's voices to the forefront and letting other women just be multiple faces on LTTA, kind of get behind the scenes, direct, produce. Like I'm kind of going into that space too. So it's like, but I'm scared to take that break from stand-up. Or will I be funny in a year if I take a break from stand-up? Like, and I come back and I'm different. It's like, am I still going to be funny? Is it like, it's all of those thoughts of what my audience expects from me, you know? So
yes. And I know we talked about that a little bit when we were texting about how you're kind of trying to step back to create this for women, which I love so much and like aligns with me so much. Yeah. I think also like it's difficult in this social media age where everybody expects you to be a niche. And I think that social media, it just completely fragments you into like, oh, in order to be successful, you have to be known for this one thing. And there are ways that social media doesn't make space for our full humanity. And I think for me, as someone who's content created for years, like I've just accepted like that.
This is what it is, yeah.
Like, there are going to be parts of me that aren't fully known because it's online. I'm satisfied with who I am. But also what you're speaking to is just permission to evolve and permission to grow. And also to be okay with like taking things in seasons. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, if I like stop stand-up.
I quit this forever.
Yeah, right. It's like maybe it's a season. Like you can come back to it when you're ready. Like it's always there. And there is that pressure. And I think that for a lot of people who are public facing especially, I think that you just have to show people who you are, and whoever is for you, and who isn't. And I kind of, in a way, like, as much as like losing followers or different things can feel like kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It can feel like rejection, and you have to reframe it like, no. I like this because it's kind of filtering the people
out.
who are where I am now. And that's fine, right? There are other people for, you know, where I used to be and who I used to be. And I hope they find that.
Yeah.
But it's also such a powerful connection when you're connecting people with where you are as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that no one teaches you how to grieve the loss of unmet expectations, especially from yourself.
Explain that to me.
Like, a lot of times we have exactly what you said in our mind, this idea of like who I should have been, or this version of myself that I thought I was going to be. You know, maybe I thought I was going to be married by now, or have kids by now, or be in a house by now, but I'm still renting, or, you know, be in a certain career point by now. Maybe we thought we would have been further along than we are by now. And I always like to remind people, like, one, because it's your life, it's meaningful, period. But also, two, instead of kind of resisting the life that we are comparing ourselves to, now you get to make the choice of what you want your life to be. You can always make those choices moving forward, and make choices that will make your life meaningful. I think we spend so much of our life resisting our life. Like, it's never good enough. Where we are is never good enough.
Even when we accomplish something that was on our checklist.
Exactly.
We accomplish it, and
it almost feels like we survived the accomplishment. Right? You're like, instead of feeling like, yes, like resting in like, oh my gosh, I accomplished this thing. It's like it's like we survived the accomplishment, and now we have to do the next thing, and we never get to like enjoy or feel any of our progress.
That gives me chills, because I'm like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm like,
yes,
I'm thinking in real time, I have done so much.
You really have.
And I'm sure you've even the people on the other side of this mic and this camera, think of all of the things you have accomplished. If it was getting your degree, if it was making it through that trade school, if it was making it through high school, and yet you barely made it, like being a single mom, being a divorcee, and you made it through that, all of the things we have made it through, and accomplishments, and all of the obstacles we've overcome, like, I've literally done enough.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm like, the more is just extra. It's just cherry on top, and it's because God has more purpose for my life, obviously, and he wants me to touch more people. If we're still here, if you're under the sound of my voice, you have more purpose.
Right.
We have more purpose, but we've accomplished enough. Like, I don't need another applause, or another accomplishment, or another follower, or another a number, or another viral video, or another. All of those things are great when it comes to the message I'm trying to get out, and the purpose I'm trying to build now on LTTA. And I'm learning that it's not, I've built my whole platform on b.simone, b.simone, b.simone. It's always been about me, always. And now I'm finally understanding, like, this is for the kingdom. This is for God's glory. And if it's 1 million, great. If it's 1 billion, phenomenal. But it's always circling back to him now. And I didn't always know that, because my relationship with God has brought that to my awareness. Like, I could care. God is like, I don't care about no b.simone, c.simone, d.simone. It's about me. And I gave you the platform to make it about me. So I just want to encourage, as I'm talking about myself, I've done enough. And every day is just an opportunity to constantly walk in purpose, and not constantly chase these milestones, or these goals, or these things that society thinks you have to be valuable.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Because I'm feeling this, I'm in that shift, and I'm actually talking to a lot of girlfriends that are in that shift. Where, and I think this is developmentally appropriate in terms of age. Where in the beginning, especially in your 20s, you know, there is a hustle, there's an energy, there's a chase of like building your life. It's kind of a life building time, and a lot of it tends to be based on external praise and reward because we're still trying to figure out our identity. Do you find that as you get older, especially in your 30s, that a lot of that is shifting inward, like that validation is shifting more inward versus externally, where it's more of like what you just said, like whether it's 1 million or whether it's 7 people or, you know, whether I get applause for this or not, I know this is just what I want to do. I know this is who I am. And as you kind of get older and you're developing more in your identity and getting more clear on who you are and what's you and what's not. And I'm thinking about masking. Like where you're just like, I don't want to mask anymore. That's tiring. That's another part of people pleasing, right? Where you're like, the reason why you're drained going into social situations,
you're not being yourself,
is because you're masking and you're reading the room, you're scanning everything, you're scanning facial reactions, body language to make sure that you're, you know, liked and safe in the environment. That's exhausting. You know, and then you get older and you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm tired.
I think this is a new thing for me. I don't feel like I've ever masked. Like I've always been the person, I'm gonna tell you who I am before you find out. So like,
expectation.
I was a hoe. Like said it. I said it already. Like I said it already. So I've always been the person to throw my vulnerability and my transparency, my honesty has always been a superpower. It's worked against me a lot of times, but you have to know that comes with the honesty and the transparency. Whoever I am in whatever season, I put it out there. I think what's new for me, and this has been because of my relationship with Christ over the past 3 years, that I'm really realizing, whoa, like it was so me. I didn't move from Dallas to Atlanta like I'm gonna move from Dallas to Atlanta and spread the gospel of Christ. I was like, I'm about to move to Dallas to Atlanta and be famous. I'm gonna be a famous singer, artist, and then it was never like rooted in the true purpose of, and that comes with, once again, rededicating my life to Christ and having relationship with him. I think he's unveiled so much to me as my true purpose and my calling and why I'm here. But before, it was never that. I wasn't like, I'm uploading YouTube videos for the glory of God. I'm uploading this content to spread Jesus Christ's name.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Sometimes they're in faith, like there is that, oh, I'm doing this for the glory of God and this and that, but really underlyingly there's actually a striving to prove, but under the guise of faith and for the glory of God. Like as someone who was raised in the church, I actually did not realize, especially in my 20s, not that I necessarily wanted to be famous, but like didn't realize how much of that go bigger for Christ, you know, and this and that for Christ actually was tied to this expectation and what people expected from me as someone who like spoke at conferences and this and that, was this expectation to keep showing up in big ways. And even though we say that that it's not about that, there can be
that underlying
like in order like this underlying trajectory of like you are truly seen as a person of faith if you are doing the big things, you know, like that is the epitome of being a person of faith. Is like
that's the anointing.
There's
that's
an
the
industry
oil.
side to it, right? There's like publishing books, speaking at conferences, coming out with this, coming out with that. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but there can be a subliminal, like, go bigger message.
Man.
That is tied to your identity. And that actually was something I feel like I got a little trapped in. Like for me, it was the reverse in my early 20s.
Okay.
And I had to break all that down and learn that my identity is not rooted in my performance. There was so much performance that was tied to my identity, like how I show up, needing to perform. I had to oh my gosh, I had to let that go so much. And I found so much freedom on the other side. But sometimes there can be that anxiety to perform that is also linked to faith. And so my hope is that, because I work with people of all backgrounds, all beliefs and all that, but for someone who is a person of faith is to, continuously check in with yourself.
Check in with, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
Am I uploading this because I want people to like?
Do I want to be doing this?
Do I want to be doing
this? Does this exhaust me?
I am
rather than fill me.
Man, is it draining? Did God say do it? I'm like, all of these things I feel like God is telling me that I haven't even like fully worked through to talk about public. I'm like, I would have never thought that I would have had to let this go and stop this and give this up and move away from this and do this and like all of these pieces. He's like, yep, it's a part of my plan, So it's like, did God say do it? I think I'm there. And why am I posting this picture? Because I think I look sexy, because I think I look great, because I love the way my body looks. Like, why am I uploading this?
Right.
I'm really starting to ask myself questions that I never even cared about before. So I think that just asking the why, like, am I doing this because I want to be liked? Am I doing this because I have a message?
Right.
Am I doing this because I really want people to read the caption? Or am I doing this because I want people to think I'm this great writer and
smart,
my caption
intelligent,
is
successful,
so
tiring again, so tiring
asking myself those questions. So before we go, I want to ask you to leave the listeners with an empowering statement, affirmation, just last little nuggets, because the people that are listening to this that have made it through this episode, it's probably tons of people that are living, they're still right inside that checkbox. They're probably trying to make a difficult decision. They're trying to stop people pleasing. What would you leave the audience with, just on a high note, something that empowers them and to let them know, like, breathe, it's okay, and in this season it's time to stop people pleasing, stop checking off all the boxes, and show up as your true authentic self and who God is calling you to be.
Okay, let me take a beat. I'll just say what comes to mind first. This is just what immediately comes to my mind. I always think about my life backwards, and I'll tell you why. Actually, I was in this developmental psychology class in undergraduate, and we were learning about the lifespan, the psychology of the lifespan. And one of the final projects that we had to do which was like an extra credit thing, was like write our own obituary. That sounds crazy, right? Now I'm like,
that's kind of cool though. I think about death so much.
I do all the time.
Day.
My friends call me Death Barbie because they're always like, "You're so dark."
It's real though. It's gonna happen.
I'm like, but it's like one of the only facts of life. Anyway, my friends call me Death Barbie. But so we had to write our own obituary, and it was literally like, I'm writing like, she was preceded by, like, writing my George and Rochelle, my parents' names, and survived by her son Austin, like my son's name, and like it was about myself. I was in tears writing that. It really messed with me. And I kind of had to write about like who I was or whatever my accomplishments were. And something about that assignment ever since made me think about my life backwards. Like, I always think about, like, at the end of my life, what will I have been satisfied and fulfilled? What would have been satisfying and fulfilling about the way that I lived, where I can like peacefully kind of rest my eyes and it's like, you know what? I lived a full life. I lived a life that was authentic, that was true. I did exactly what I was supposed to be doing, what I wanted to be doing, right? Understanding that, like, we can't do and be everything. And then I read a book by, I think her name is Bonnie Ware, and it was the top 5 regrets of the death and dying. And one of the major regrets, because she worked in palliative care with people who were on their deathbed, and she kind of saw them through. If you like thinking about death, that might be not like thinking about death, but no, that might be a good book. But and one of the top regrets was like, I wish that I fully lived my life as myself instead of what people wanted me to be. Because there were so many ways that they contorted and sacrificed their entire lives only to get to the end and realize they spent their entire life living outside of themselves.
Jesus.
They lived their entire lives, their one life, according to the social constructs and expectations of everyone else. And by the time they realized it, it was essentially too late.
Jesus.
That kind of haunts me, like, in a good way. That haunts me in a good way. And so my takeaway, or what first came to mind when you asked that, was like, I don't want to look back and I spent my entire life abandoning myself. I spent my entire life as a kind of shadow of myself.
Wow.
I spent my entire life shaped around other people, and I never got to truly live. I'll just say, like, I'm someone who's considered neurodivergent. Like, I was diagnosed with ADHD. That's a whole other conversation that happens for women in their 30s. And so, like, I can just be I've noticed that I can just think in ways that are just a little bit different, you know, that might be seen as like quirky or just like a lot or out of the box, you know, but like, that's who I am. And there's so many ways that I shrunk myself to not be too much to people, you know, or if you're like an ambitious woman, like you said, and you're just like, there's a lot of things I want to do, you know, but then you're just afraid of like being too much or being perceived as too much to people, instead of just following what your intuition, and you can also call that the Holy Spirit, because I believe that God's wisdom is in you too.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to leave women with.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of times as women, we're told that we need validation outside of ourselves in order for it to be considered valid. And then realizing that that wisdom is lived inside of you,
wow,
in your body too. I really want women to own that. But all that to say, you know, when you look back on your life, when you look at your life backwards, like, what will you wish you would have been doing?
Do that now.
Do that now.
Yeah.
You know, because the choices big and small that you're making now, that's what's going to add up to what your life is.
Yeah.
You know, so I always think about that.
I love that.
And that kind of keeps me on track
in
a lot of ways. Also, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who allow you to be your full self.
Yeah.
Where you don't feel like you have to shrink, where you don't feel like you have to chameleon and all of that, because there's nothing like experiencing a new way of living.
Yeah.
It can't just be in our heads. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want to stop people pleasing.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I just want to stop abandoning ourselves. That's good in ideology, but we learn through experience and we learn through practice. And so I know for me, what was most healing was having friendships around me, being in a relationship with my husband where I could just fully 100% be myself in every single which way and feel loved for who I am. If we're masking, then we don't give people the opportunity to love and know who we really are. So of course we don't know if they'll really like us.
Yeah.
Because we are not giving the opportunity for that. But it's experiencing that. We call that a corrective emotional experience, where you experience in a relationship in a new way that corrects your former experiences with relationships and stores in your brain in a new way. That's what leads to the change, right? So it starts by like not people pleasing,
right,
and it feels uncomfortable at first.
So
you're like,
hard.
oh my God, do they hate me now?
Yeah.
you know, and then you realize, oh, I survived.
Yeah.
I was okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
and
it teaches you are safe still. You're
still safe. And that's so good. I'll leave you guys with this. My therapist, she's like, well, what do you think is going to happen if you do that?
Right. Are they going to punch you in the face?
And I would respond. And she's like, even if they did. Like, they're probably not. But even if they did, okay, then what? Then she always like kept, then what? Then what?
Love
and I'm
that.
Or they're not going to like me. Okay, then what? It was like always like, if the worst of the worst did happen, literally, so what? You can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let it go. They're not meant to be in your life, or whatever the outcome is. But 99% of the time, it's in our brains. Oh, yeah. It doesn't happen anyway. So thank you for leaving the audience with that.
Absolutely.
You guys.
But did you die?
But did you die?
But did you die?
Yeah, yeah. And thank you for coming, Brittney, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and this was just a really, really good episode. I think people pleasing is always a topic that could come up, even for somebody who's been working through it for the past few years. And I'm just getting better at it. And like you said, you have to practice it. So you guys get outside of those check boxes, stop people pleasing, and live your life. Think about it backwards. I love that. I love that. Live your life for you, live your life for God, and ultimately walk in your purpose and don't shrink yourself. You guys, this was such a great episode. I will see you guys next week on Let's Try This Again. Audio drops every Monday. And the audio, y'all, if y'all not listening to the audio, you are missing a treat, because at the beginning of every audio, it's different. We don't have the audio intros on YouTube. So if you're watching the YouTube, great. YouTube drops every Tuesday. But make sure you listen to the audio on all audio platforms, because at the beginning of every audio episode, you get about a 5, sometimes 7, 8, 9, 10-minute treat. And it's just like an update on my week, and it's in real time. So it's really, really dope to listen to the audio and get that extra content at the beginning of the audio. I love you guys. And yeah, see you next week on Let's Try This Again. Thank you, Brittney.
Thank you.